Have you ever felt like the world has gone blind? Not from a lack of eyes, but from an overload of distractions. Humanity is at war, not with bombs, but with illusions. A silent war, deadly in ways most can't even see. It strikes the mind before it reaches the body. It corrodes the spirit before it ever touches the wallet. And it's on this invisible battlefield that men fall. Not for lack of strength, but for lack of preparation. And you, are you preparing? Not by hoarding supplies or hanging weapons on your wall, but by sharpening your real defense. Your mind, your discipline, your resilience. Because when the machine's arm fails, it's the man with instinct who rises. The one who built strength in silence. Who trained through pain. Who didn't need applause to be forged. We live in a time where weakness is celebrated, and strength is labeled offensive. Where comfort is promoted and sacrifice mocked. But hard times don't send alerts. They simply arrive, and those without inner foundation collapse. Jeremiah 17:5-6 brings a clear warning. This is what the Lord says. Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from flesh, and whose heart turns from the Lord. He will be like a bush in the wastelands. He will not see prosperity when it comes. He will dwell in the parched desert, in a salt land where no one lives. In other words, those who rely on strength that looks solid but has no root are preparing their own fall. But those who dig deep into the soul, who harden the mind, who align the spirit, they remain standing even in drought. So how do you prepare for that? How do you build resilience in a world that sells shortcuts? How do you keep discipline when everything screams pleasure now? The answer begins in the overlooked details, in the routine, in the hidden habits. Modern survivalism isn't fear, it's clarity. It's seeing that today's comfort could be tomorrow's trap. Real motivation doesn't come from what pleases you. It comes from what strengthens and prepares you. Do you get up early without being told? Do you train your mind or just your image? Can you be silent? Can you wait? Can you act without impulse? These are the invisible weapons. This is where the maintenance of instinct begins. The true maintenance of a man isn't physical. It's mental. It's how he responds to pressure, doubt, and solitude. It's how he builds emotional strength in silence. So when the light shines, he stands firm. Nikola Tesla once said, "What we now call reality is merely a perception, a limited one of what truly exists." And that's the point. Most people live in a twisted version of reality, shaped by fear, anxiety, and addiction to distraction. Only those who rise above it, who master their instincts and forge clarity of mind, walk this world truly bulletproof. True self-sufficiency isn't arrogance, it's preparation. It's not needing applause, praise, or company. It's knowing how to stand alone and still stay the course. Because the man of instinct knows the world will press. It will demand, it will try to bend your frame. But he also knows what's forged in fire doesn't break easily. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. Routine is not a prison, it's a trench. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. The war has already begun, and it won't wait for you to feel ready. The world is being defeated not by violence but by apathy, and only those who rise now, even when it's hard, will stand whole when the real darkness falls. So before you raise your arm, sharpen your mind. Before you trust your tool, hone your spirit. Because the true warrior doesn't wait for the war to prepare. He lives as if it's already at the door. And it is. The real war begins within. Before any engine starts, before any job begins, the battlefield is already set, inside the mind. The most neglected maintenance is the one no one sees. The spirit, the vision, the intention. Ever tightened a bolt's torque? You know, if you go too hard, it snaps. Too loose, it doesn't hold. Same with emotions. A man's mind needs balance. Not too weak, not too stiff. That comes with emotional intelligence, with self-mastery. But how do you master yourself in a world that constantly distracts you? How do you stay firm when everything around is fluid? How do you stay whole when everyone's breaking into pieces? The answer is in habit, in the simple, in the intentional. Preparation for hard days is built in the ordinary ones. The man who'll stay strong in chaos is the same one who tidies his workshop, cleans his tools, honors his schedule. He's the one who stands even when tired, pushes through even when unmotivated, keeps going even without recognition, because the war doesn't wait for applause, and the enemy won't cheer for your progress. So either you get strong by conviction or you'll break under pressure. Jesus said in Luke 16:10, "Whoever is faithful in little will also be faithful in much." True strength begins in the details. Discipline starts in the cup you don't leave on the bench, in the tool you return to its place, in the hour you wake up even when you don't have to. A mind of steel is not built on motivational quotes. It's built on routine, on sacrifice, on self-control. That's what shapes a man of instinct. He doesn't need noise or a stage. He lives truth in the dark, so he can shine steady in the light. When chaos comes, and it will, the man who trained his soul won't flinch. He breathes deep, acts with precision, listens before exploding, decides before reacting. That is mental strength. That is emotional survivalism. And if you think this is an exaggeration, just look around you. How many are falling ill with no diagnosis? How many are collapsing without even realizing they've hit the ground? An untrained mind is vulnerable. Emotion without discipline is self-sabotaging. A spirit without roots is fragile. So stop now and observe. How solid is your foundation? How do you react when facing frustration? What throws you off balance easily? These are the areas that need maintenance. Einstein once said, "Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. And that understanding begins within you, with your limits, with your wounds, with your origins." Who doesn't understand their own story ends up repeating its mistakes. Who doesn't clean their trauma stains their relationships. Who doesn't know themselves gets lost along the way. Personal development is the greatest form of resistance in today's world, because it makes you strong without being harsh, firm without being arrogant, wise without being prideful, and you only get there when you face your inner workshop. When you agree to dismantle your soul like you would an engine, piece by piece, with patience, with skill, with honesty. That's where the new man is born, and that part of the war, no one can fight for you. In soul maintenance, just like in the hydraulic arm of a muck loader, there's a truth that can't be ignored. If you don't replace the seal in time, clearance shows up, and where there's slack, there's no precision. The control gets lost, the strength leaks away, and the result is a system that fails when it needs to be solid. The same happens to the man who doesn't repair himself, who lets small cracks become full-on breaks, who shoves down his trauma, silences his pain, and keeps going like nothing's wrong. But life's war doesn't forgive neglect. It tests your resilience at your weakest point, and if your mind isn't sharp, if your heart isn't armored, the failure will strike with the weight of 1,000 pressures. That's why the true survivor is the one who doesn't ignore the details, who understands that every emotional gap can turn into chaos, who knows that each habit, no matter how small, shapes character and strengthens the spirit, who replaces internal seals before the soul starts leaking. When we replace a seal in a cylinder, we don't just do it because of a visible leak. We do it because of lost efficiency, wasted effort, broken trust. In the same way, a man with sharp instinct looks in the mirror and decides to fix his own leaks, the procrastination that drains his energy, the unresolved anger that stains his judgment, the lack of discipline that sabotages his progress. He knows that strength without precision is brutality, and precision without strength is fragility. So he prepares for both. He adjusts his behavior like calibrating a hydraulic system, not in a rush, but with purpose. Have you ever considered that your biggest downfalls might have started with a tiny bit of slack, something you ignored but deep down felt, a conversation you avoided, a mistake you didn't fix, a habit you let slide for too long? Just like a small gap in a loader pin can twist the whole arm of the machine, a small crack in your character can throw off your entire path. A man with emotional intelligence sees this coming. He reads the signs. He acts before the system breaks. He takes ownership of staying aligned, and that doesn't make him weak, and it makes him stronger. Because real strength isn't always pushing forward with pride. It's knowing when to stop. Take things apart, clean up, replace what's worn. Grease it with patience and rebuild with care and attention. The prophet Jeremiah warned in chapter 17, verses 5 and 6. Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from flesh and turns his heart from the Lord. He'll be like a bush in the wastelands. He won't see prosperity when it comes, though it passes near. The message is clear. Relying only on brute force, without aligning your heart with the right direction, is walking blind toward collapse. So, fellow warrior, ask yourself, where's the slack in your life? What have you left loose in your habits or your choices? What needs fixing before life's pressure crushes you? Don't wait to break to fix it. Get ahead, strengthen what matters. Replace what's worn or out of place. Because the machine you are must be battle ready, and battles don't give warning. And don't forget, Maintaining your instincts is a daily process. It's not just about enduring pain, but operating with precision, answering life with clarity and strength, and most of all, being reliable to yourself and to those who walk beside you when the heat rises. In today's battlefield, the enemy rarely shows a face. He hides behind distraction, discouragement, false comfort. The man who's not alert becomes loose gear in a system without direction. But the one who stays in constant maintenance and inside and out turns even silence into a weapon of discipline. Because it's not the noise that shows readiness. It's consistency. Discipline lives in the details. In the alarm you respect even when tired. In the meal you choose even when in a rush. In the workout you finish even when your body says stop. These small daily decisions build a character crisis-proof. And here's the secret. The real warrior doesn't train just to endure, but to sustain. Sustain the mind under pressure. Sustain the mission when no one claps. Sustain integrity when the world takes shortcuts. You replace a cylinder's seal so it doesn't lose pressure. You strengthen the soul for the same reason. To hold your focus when the pressure hits. Because war doesn't forgive hesitation. And a true brother in arms of the one beside you doesn't need reminding. He already lives by the code. The mental strength you build in silence will be tested in the screams of chaos. And the prepared man, he doesn't need to prove his strength. It shows in how he moves when everything falls apart. He doesn't shout. He doesn't run. He acts with precision, with firmness, with clarity. Jesus said, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." Luke 6:45. That's why the man who prepares from within speaks less word. But when he does, every word carries weight. And when he acts, his example takes root. True survival isn't just about breathing. It's about evolving, overcoming, carrying non-negotiable values like loyalty, honor, courage, and truth. Those are the bolts that hold the engine of the soul together. So stop now and ask yourself honestly, are you truly ready for the war or just waiting for the next hit? Are you aligned or just patched up? Is your mind sharp or dulled by the autopilot of routine? Because the difference between falling and standing tall is found in the preparation no one sees. This is the mechanical instinct. Here, maintenance is constant, not just of the machine, but of the mind and the soul. If this message stirred something inside you, don't leave here the same. Hit that reflection button, show your support, and share this with a brother in arms who needs to hear it. In the comments or the links below, you'll find more tools for those who want to build strong, because the world will press harder, and only those who are well tightened will keep running.